So the rebuttal of this guy's article claims, makes a statement, a sixth reason for placing the nativity of Jesus in 3 or 2 BC is the coincidence of this date with a New Testament account that Jesus was born at the time when a Roman census was being conducted. There went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the Roman world should be registered, Luke 2:1. Historians have not been able to find any empire-wide census or registration in the years 7 to 5 BC, but there is a reference to such a registration of all the Roman people not long before 5 February 2 BC, written by Caesar Augustus himself. Quote, while I was administering my 13th consulship, 2 BC, the Senate and the equestrian order and the entire Roman people gave me the title of Father of my country. This award was given Augustus on 5 February 2 BC. Therefore, the registration of citizen approval must have taken place in 3 BC. Orosius in the 5th century also said that Roman records of his time revealed that a census was indeed held when Augustus was made the first of men, an apt description of his award Father of the country, and at a time when all the great nations gave an oath of obedience to Caesar Augustus. Orosius dated the census to 3 BC, and besides that, Josephus substantiates that an oath of obedience to Augustus was required in Judea not long before the death of Herod. This agrees nicely in a chronological sense with what Luke records, but more than that, an inscription found in Paphlagonia, eastern Turkey, also dated to 3 BC, mentions an oath sworn by the people of the land, in the land of the altars of Augustus, in the temples of Augustus in the various districts. And dovetailing precisely with this inscription, the early 5th century Armenian historian, Moses of Khoren, said the census that brought Joseph and Mary to Bethlehem was conducted by Roman agents in Armenia, where they set up the image of Augustus Caesar in every temple. The similarity of this language is strikingly akin to the wording of the Paphlagonian inscription describing the oath taken in 3 BC. These indications can allow us to reasonably conclude that the oath of Josephus, the Paphlagonian inscription in Orosius, and the census mentioned by Luke, Orosius, and Moses of Khoren were one and the same. All of these things happened in 3 BC. What this means is that we have very, very clear evidence of an empire-wide registration in the time frame required. How much more data do you need? Well, skeptic goes on. In Judea under Quirinius, we know from Josephus' histories of something more appropriate, not a worldwide decree, but a local census of 86 to assess Judea when the province passed from rule by Herod's family to direct rule by Rome. Although this census was local, it caused a notorious outcry, not least because of the Jews argued that the innovation was contrary to Scripture and the will of God. According to the third gospel, the census which took Joseph to Bethlehem was the first while Quirinius was governor of Syria. Well, rebuttal. I've already pointed out that the first while is probably a mistranslation of the text before is more in line with Koine idiom. Okay, Quirinius' census was indeed the first, but it belonged in 86 when King Herod, the story's other marker, was long since dead. Okay, we have a couple of concluding points here. That Augustus might have issued a worldwide census decree, a record of which is only preserved in Luke's Gospel, is altogether reasonable and plausible. The data about Augustus' propensity to count and tax is well known. For example, he documents in his own records how he counted the Roman nation some 3 times, and increasingly levied detailed taxes throughout his reign. With the attendant increase in bribery and vice, as vain as he was, it would not be surprising all of this to have occurred. It was also customary for the Roman Empire to take a census when there was a change of local government. When Archelaus was deposed in AD 6, one of Quirinius' first tasks was to liquidate his estate and hold a census to determine the tribute load. The implication of this pattern for our discussion is that when Varus became governor of Syria in 7 BC, one of his first acts would have been to take a census, the one which would have produced the trip from Nazareth to Bethlehem for. We know Augustus instituted a 14-year census cycle for Egypt. Not only does this give us more confirmation that Augustus was a count sort of guy, but it may reflect a local execution of a worldwide decree to Augustus. To assert that Augustus did not make such a decree is an affirmative historical statement, and the burden of proof for any historical assertion always rests upon its author. And to argue that Luke was wrong because there was no worldwide decree because we don't have a record of this specific decree is to make a common mistake in historical method, arguing from slim evidence or silence. Some silence arguments can be made to work, though. Hackett again says evidence must always be affirmative. Negative evidence is a contradiction in terms. It is no evidence at all. The non-existence of an object, read worldwide decree, is established not by non-existence evidence, read we can't find the decree so far, but by affirmative evidence of the fact that it did not nor could not exist, the document that says it did not happen. You can't have, right? And in spite of the fact of the above methodological and background problems, we do have concrete evidence of an empire-wide Augustinian restoration, literally archaeological, iconographic. To summarize this section on the missing census of 7 to 5 BC, I have affirmative evidence and good arguments for such a census. Luke, a very, very, very reliable historian, says so. Augustus was this type of person with repeated known actions along this line. These kinds of events occurred at major changes in ruling personnel, a situation that obtained in Palestine at the time Luke indicates. Parallel evidences occurred in the other Roman-controlled areas in roughly the same time. In Egypt, for example, there is not a scrap of contrary data. Quirinius' participation in such an event, along with Varus, is not only possible, but highly likely. Finally, we have positive evidence of an empire-wide decree of Augustus within a year or two of the required date. There you go. Was Jesus' birth date accurately recorded in the Bible? You betcha.